Welcome to the Hollywood Outsider, an award-winning weekly entertainment podcast. On this episode, we're going to have a little compilation because we are off until September 11th, when we will return with our Summer Entertainment Awards episode because we just need a little summer break. You know what I'm saying? Everybody needs a little break now and again, but we didn't want to leave you without anything. So this is our compilation episode of 3 topics that we thought were a lot of fun from the past. And they are, we're going to discuss when to end a franchise, what it means to be a film critic, because people love to throw out exactly what comes with it and what that entails, and it's not right. I'm just letting you know. And then we hop in the time machine, go back a little bit for some fun with our 80s family movie Battle Royale. That's it. That's the episode. We're going to go from one topic to the next. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We'll see you on the flip side in September when we come back, and I hope everyone is having a wonderful end of summer. I am your host, Aaron Peterson. Throughout these episodes, you will hear John Davenport, Troy Heinrichs, Amanda Sink, and I believe for the Battle Royale, there's a guest, Christina Flores, who's one of our lovely Patreon supporters. So thank you, everybody, for listening. And we're going to start with when to end a franchise. We're going to go into our From the Outside In topic now. When is it time to end a franchise? Like, how do you know it's done? And seriously, so Saw X is out. Some actually reviews, I think, are pretty positive on that one. The Expendables 4 is out, and been out. It's probably gone by the time you're listening to this, honestly. It did so poorly. But you can still find my review on the website, and it was not good. It was not good. So not good. I didn't even want to bring Stallone back for a review, and boy, had I planned on it. Damn it. It was very disappointing. But then you've got, Fast X. There's another Fast and Furious movie coming. Fast with 11 is coming. Mission Impossible 17, on and on and on. So how many movies does it take to end it? And I just kind of want to open that up. Like, we all like some of these franchises, but do you ever feel, I mean, obviously, we're the problem, right?
Yeah, we are the problem. We fall in love with these characters. We end up going along with them for God knows how long, and then they come to a perfectly good end to their story. But because people are always, and especially now because studios have the ability of seeing in real time the kind of chatter that's happening with their properties, especially because they can see in real time what the chatter is about their properties, that you start going beyond what it is that end of the story is. So then you're like, okay, well, we reached a perfectly good place to stop, but now they're going to start making crap up, and then you can really see the crap in it.
I think that's the key. It's like when you start making stuff up. But there's like the Hunger Games and Lord of the Rings and that kind of stuff. It's like you knew that there's going to be content because the books were out there, right? Look, Game of Thrones, it's out there because the content is out there. But when you're making something like Fast X, where there isn't a content and you're kind of going as you go, as long as there's a good story, keep going forever. The problem is that there wasn't a good story because you start bringing people back from the dead who were clearly blown up in a freaking car in one of the worst movies that should have ever not made the silver screen at all because it's bad.
Is this where you turn into Martin Scorsese and start saying that cinema's dead because of these kind of movies?
No. It's just the Fast series never should have brought Han back ever. Like that just was dumb. That was the jump to shark form. Fierro in space, totally could buy it. Han back from the dead, no way in hell.
Okay, but on the same line, I mean, you've got Mission Impossible. He should have been dead multiple times. His wife definitely should have been dead multiple times.
Could have died, sure, but then did he actually die?
His wife
Han
did,
actually died. He blew up in that car.
Wait, I haven't reached a point with Mission Impossible yet where it's hit that ending yet.
Really, the face mask for literally every single opportunity they can to get out of a hole that they put themselves into. That's not just as dumb as Fast and Furious, really.
But that's the gimmick of Mission Impossible.
It's a gimmick of Fast and Furious. People keep coming back from the dead. They've done it throughout the whole. I mean, don't get me wrong. I thought the Han thing was really stupid. That again, Fast X, I really enjoyed. I thought it was way better than the one before it. And the idea that The Rock, skip ahead a minute, that The Rock is coming back, that just gets me excited even more. So, and The other one coming back gets me excited too. So like all these characters coming back, I know it's ridiculous, but I think it's into that kind of.
But the other one coming back is plausible that they could come back. Han blew up.
Why does it need to be plausible?
How is that even? Wait, hold on. The other one. God damn it! I can't even say it without pointing out the fact that how that other one died. There's no reason for her to be back because she should be in like a broken pile of Legos on that runway still.
Well, here's where I'll disagree with you on that one because all she did was fall off a plane. Like
exactly.
All she did was roll off a plane. Way less definitely dead than Han was, as far as I'm concerned. She should have had a broken leg. Maybe a cracked pelvis or something. I don't know. Maybe she picked up a tiara and went to battlefield. I don't know. I don't know what happened. But
she could have had a utility belt like Batman and just propelled herself down.
Maybe we do a crossover. Wouldn't it be awesome? Hey, there is another Wonder Woman movie. Who knew? It's like
Are we trying to end franchises or keep them going for no good reason?
Honestly, I stopped.
We're just basically saying there's plausibility in certain people coming back and there's not plausibility for other people coming back.
Yes, but it goes back to what I was saying, which is why does it have to be plausible? If it's in a movie movie series as ridiculous as this, it is not based on any real thing. And superhero movies do it all the time. They never kill anyone off. These are superhero movies. Those are superhero movies. Everybody hates Fast and Furious. They are superhero movies.
The plot here.
No, the plot was when should it end? And it should end when it's no longer plausible. So
and I'm saying that why do they have to be plausible? This is what a discussion is, John. It means we don't all have to just say our piece and hang up. We have a discussion. And I'm saying, why does that have to be plausible?
Because it doesn't have to be plausible, but if it reaches a perfectly good ending, then that's when it should stop.
Well, but what's a good ending? A good ending to you may not be a good ending for me.
Exactly. Who determines that? This is what we need to get to the bottom of this.
If Troy is the one who's got like an answer for absolutely everything, then I'm the one that determines the end of something.
Okay.
I'm going to show up and I'm going to be like, this strike is not going to end until I say it does. And then I'm going to go to the Fast X people and be like, you should have ended at the safe bit and called it a day.
Yep. Fast 5. That was it.
But I've enjoyed the movie since. And if you still go see them, you don't even agree with yourself.
Well, we have this thing called an employer named Aaron.
No, you're not an employer. Nobody makes you go see these. You choose to go see them.
We're doing it for the fans. We're doing it for the fans.
No, you do it because you want to see them. Bullshit.
Hell no.
Then don't watch them.
That's why I mean, he's right. I didn't go see Expendables. I watched the first one again, which I totally forgot was a movie not too long ago. And the only part of that movie that stuck with me long after I watched it was Terry Crews and because Terry Crews is just a charming person to watch, but also his scene was hysterical. They should have ended it when Stallone tried to run.
No, I've heard this joke before. The second one was very good. I even think the third one was very good. The fourth one was dog shit. They sort of stopped at 3 because they had a trilogy and it worked and you got away. You got lucky. You made your money back and it was already fading. Time to move on. There's
like a law of numbers: 3, 5, 7, 9. Those are the numbers you end stuff on.
This is not fandom should be based on.
Did we just find a way to tie this back to Lost, Troy?
Yeah.
Is that what we just did?
No, it's so. Like
prime numbers.
Like when you go to the grocery store, you never see anything that's like $3.96. It doesn't do anything in your brain it just doesn't like click. But when you see it's like $3.95 or $3.97 or $3.99, you're more likely to buy it than if it was $3.96. It's just a fact.
I would buy $3.96 way before I'd buy
just on principle. Just on principle now, right?
Right.
Is there any series that you have like you've actually given up on where it's still popular and people are and you just said, no, I'm done. I gave that up. I don't care about that anymore.
Saw after the third one.
Did you used to like it though? Did you used to like them?
It was the first one was great. I thought it was a really clever concept. And then when they decided that we're going to make it into like a Nightmare on Elm Street situation, I was like, nah, I'm done. But the first one was cool. It was a cool twist on the horror genre. But why'd you ruin it? By milking
Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. I ended the series with that one.
You didn't go back to it after that?
I didn't go back after that.
Really?
Yeah.
Fourth and fifth one were actually way better than the third one was.
Really? Yeah. I didn't see a point in going back. For whatever reason, I just they came out and I was like,
Well, Would you guys see another one of those if they reinvented it but still had Johnny Depp as?
Yeah, I can't see it without Johnny Depp, honestly.
Only if they're like time travelers and they're like boosting cruise ships or something.
Boosting.
That's how ridiculous Fast and the Furious is. Why not make Pirates of the Caribbean as ridiculous as Fast and the Furious?
It's a different movie franchise. Why does he have to get a time? Why is he driving a DeLorean ship and he ends up in the freaking modern days hijacking Carnival?
I want to see Jack Sparrow give Royal Caribbean a run for its money.
That's an interesting twist. What about horror movies that go on and on and on and on? Do you guys have any issue with those going on? Because fans keep going back. They really go back for the kills. Nobody cares about the story in those or the plausibility because they're never
fall
plausible.
in love with the character, the killer.
Yeah, or they fall in love with the character. I know a lot of people who love Halloween just for Michael Myers, and they love all the iconography behind the shape. I would have probably liked to have ended that after the first movie, or even the second movie. But beyond that, I can't really justify watching the other ones. I have, and you're there for the kills, sure, but I mean, with the problem with some of these horror movies like Friday the 13th and Michael Myers is that there's more people who die on a daily basis downtown than there are people who die in those movies.
Not usually in one day.
You're talking like in real life?
It depends on which downtown city you're in.
I mean,
and what day.
Maybe in a city, but like not on a cabin or a Camp Crystal Lake or a local lake. If they had 17 people die in one night, somebody should shut that camp down like forever. Who's watching the kids? I don't know. The serial killer is. Yeah, I gotta get out of here, man. It's dangerous to be out here. What the hell? I'm a problem. Like I know I'm the problem because Friday the 13th, I will watch 12 more of them if they make them, and I don't know why. I just really dig the cold silent killer type for whatever reason. It's just a fun genre to me because I find it ridiculous, and they usually punish assholes, so I'm okay with it. They always let the good people. Usually they let the good people go, and the kids get to live, and the dogs live, and sometimes they take out a cat, but I'm okay with that. I mean, I'm the
same way with Freddy Krueger. Nightmare on Elm Street was my jam.
You could watch all those.
I think it should have ended with Dream Warriors on the third one because that's when Nancy's story ended. Mm-hmm. But like I'd still watch Freddy today if there were a new Freddy movie on streaming, so I don't have to pay for it. I wouldn't go to the movie theater to watch it. But
did you watch the new one?
I think I've watched all of them. I might have missed one.
New one wasn't good, but they could redo it.
Yeah, the one with Jackie Earle Haley being Freddy Krueger.
Yeah,
right.
You know what's sad is as we're talking about this, right? So we keep saying, well, you should be done at this point. You should be done at that point. Yet we keep going to see things that should have ended several movies ago by many people's standards. And I see this all the time on the internet, right? Where people say, well, you gotta stop remaking and rebooting and doing sequels and make original, this is what Martin Scorsese loves to do these days. Just go online and say anything that's not what I like is bad. They wanted to franchise The Departed after I made that. I couldn't believe that. I almost quit. Dude, they made 3 movies overseas before you ever made your movie. So maybe relax a little. They did franchise it. Anyway, so there's a lot of people that are against the whole franchise thing, yet everyone I know still watches franchise movies. So are we all just hypocrites in a way?
Totally, because I was like, Walking Dead season 11, I'm finally done with this thing. And then a minute Walking Dead season 11 ended, it was like, and we're having the final season ever of Fear of the Walking Dead. And I was like, well, crap, I've missed 3 seasons of that. I should just probably finish that. So I've started watching Fear of the Walking Dead again. And then Daryl came out and Dead City came out. And I'm just like, nope, I'm still watching The Walking Dead.
Daryl finally came out? Good for him.
Not like that, John.
Oh,
the show came out.
I thought they were really being progressive with that.
Maybe that's what the twist is.
Something's getting twisted.
Stop saying dumb things. It's interesting because I had this conversation with somebody not too long ago where they were saying, I'm so sick of franchises and everything else. And this is the same person that loves NCIS, all those and watches all of them. So my question to them is, I said, what's the difference? And they said, well, it's very different, a bunch of movies than a TV series. And I'm like, it's literally like 22 movies. What are you talking about? It's the same thing. There's no difference to it. You're going on for 15 years. What's the difference?
Right.
Well, those characters evolve. So do they in those movies sometimes if they're meant to. Like a killer's not going to evolve. They're just always a killer. But, Mission Impossible, even Ethan Hunt evolves a little bit. Hell, Jack Sparrow evolved.
Martin Riggs evolved from the first movie to the last movie.
He did. Became a totally different guy.
Yeah.
Freddy Krueger totally evolved.
Did he?
Yeah, he sharpened his knives differently in the third movie. He used different killing tactics.
Nice. Okay.
What?
He's just being Troy.
I mean, if we really want to take a look at why this happens, I think television is what it is. I mean, is probably part of the problem because we're so used to these stories now that are continuous, and we fall in love with these characters, and then we start wanting the same thing from TV to movies, and and TV has grown in such a way now that we're having essentially 6 hour, 7 hour long movies that we are binging throughout a weekend. And I mean, how much different is that from watching a movie in the theater, especially with the effects that we're getting these days and the kind of stories we're getting? Some of the better storytelling, I know Aaron's about to get mad at me for finishing the sentence. Some of the better storytelling is happening in TV. So why wouldn't we want that?
I think it's not about TV or movies anymore. That's the problem. It's like, it's the medium in which it's delivered. If you can tell a good story in great example, since we're talking about the strike, right? The last writer's strike was Dr. Horrible Sing-Along Blog, which was 9-minute videos told over 6 or 7. No, that was maybe 3 parts for Dr. Horrible. And some fans actually made the teenage version of Horrible Turn, I think was the name of it. And it was like 9 or 10-minute episodes. And it's fine, right? If I do the same thing and have Obi-Wan Kenobi, which was a 2.5-hour movie, and I turn it into 2.5-hour movies and air over 6 episodes, like, people want the content. It's just that I now have the ability to do it on a small screen in my house instead of a giant movie theater. So the distribution's different. The revenue generation off of it is different. And because of that, like, I think exactly what John is saying, streaming Cobra Kai in one day is like, we've gotten 5 really great Karate Kid movies. Or 10 if you want to think about runtime.
But we still do it in movies too. We do it wherever whatever we watch, wherever we watch, we're doing it. We're the problem. We're always the problem. People love to complain about it because of whatever they don't like. They love to complain about. People that don't like Fast and Furious movies love to complain about it's gone on too long. But they'll love Mission Impossible movies, and so they can keep making them. I'll keep seeing them. There's no difference. NCIS has been on forever. People will keep watching it. Well, I mean, as long as they make it. Grey's Anatomy, you're still watching that, Troy. That's been on forever. You like what you like. But we keep, no matter what it is, we keep every fan I know that says something should end also watches something that should have ended. That's from someone else's standpoint.
It's a different thing, though. It's not that I'm watching it because I absolutely love it. I'm watching it because I'm a completionist.
Yeah, but you still watch it. I can quit stuff, no problem.
Yeah, see, I can't. I played Final Fantasy, the video game series, like my whole life, pretty much. And Final Fantasy 16 just came out. It is absolute dog garbage compared to the other Final Fantasy games I've ever played.
Mm-hmm.
But I had to play it because I'm a completionist.
Did you finish it?
Well, I'm in the middle of it right now.
So you're still playing it even though you hate it?
Yes.
I don't understand that. I got to know
how the story. Once I start the story, I got to know how the story ends.
I don't understand. I've had this conversation with Scott Clark, Gaming Outsider. He's an avid gamer, and he'll play a game, and he's like, "Oh, the story's so great." I'm like, "Man, I don't care. If I stop enjoying the game, I'm done. I don't care what the story's telling me. I just don't care."
I'm finding nowadays, it used to be, I was like Troy. If I started something, I had to finish it. If I didn't finish it, then I would be thinking about it. If I wasn't thinking about it, then trying to finish it, then I was trying to get, do whatever I could to mainline the crap out of it. But now I'm getting to a point where I will, like we opened the beginning of the show up with, I started watching a couple of shows. I really like the shows. I really want to go back and watch the shows. I just can't be bothered to turn my TV on again to watch those. It's not necessarily a completionist thing for me anymore. It's become something where it's just not as important because you know what? It's going to be there when I decide to watch it again.
It's almost too much, too comfortable.
Right.
Until Warner Brothers buys it, and then it won't be there.
Right. Need to go back to the days. Remember when Disney had was it the VHS tapes? Right. They had the VHS
tapes in the vault.
Yeah, the vault, where they were out temporarily. I mean, those things sold like hotcakes because people had to have them before they were gone every single time. It's wild. But yeah,
WB is putting Westworld in the water tower and then pulling it out 5 years from now. Is that how it's going to work?
Yeah, it's going to be on Freevee or one of these crazy things. But we keep watching these things, and if you're a fan, you're okay with it. If you're not a fan, you want it to stop. James Bond's been going on for 60 years, and it's going to keep going on because, yeah, they do reinvent it, but it's still the same series. I mean, it hasn't evolved that much. They just have better technology these days.
You know, the whole mentality of being, you know, that just needs to end. I mean, I know I said some of it about some of the series that I picked out, or that I'm like, that just needs to end. And sure, for me, it needs to end, but I'm not going to try to yuck somebody's yum by being like, that's so stupid, it needs to end. It just doesn't work for me anymore.
But people do it all the time.
Yuck other people's
people
yum?
Are entitled.
Yes. I enjoy certain things. I was excited for Expendables. If you listen to our holiday movie preview, I was extremely excited for Expendables 4. I was wrong. I can admit that freely now. Boy, was I wrong. Disappointment 101. But I was excited for it. But whenever I told anyone that, they would tell me, oh, that franchise should be dead. That franchise. Now, this time they got lucky, but I can't tell you how many times they've told me that. And I went and enjoyed whatever the thing was that they said should end. The Meg 2. So many people said, well, it should have ended after the first one. That movie shouldn't have a sequel. I had a great time in that sequel. And if you didn't like it, you didn't like it, but I had a great time with it. Everybody's taste is different, and some people have no problem, you know, just having a little fun now and again. Just because you want top-level cinematography, top-level storytelling, top-level production, top-notch acting, Oscar-caliber performances, whatever it is you think you have to have in every single film you watch, not everybody feels that way, and that doesn't make them wrong. It's just their taste is different, and I don't know why we can't get there as a culture.
I think that's part of it, but also we've become so dependent on other outlets and other people's opinions, and once we latch on to other opinions that match or don't match what we're saying, we start basing everything off of that. I remember way back when Batman versus Superman came out, and I was talking to some friends, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's garbage." No, it's actually not bad. It's an enjoyable movie. Oh no, it's the dumbest thing ever. Okay, well, which part did you have problems with? Oh, I didn't see it.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's the same way with a lot of the movies that people are trying to talk down to when it comes to other things. We don't have a problem walking up to somebody and being like, "Oh, you really want to see that, huh? Yeah, I really want to see it. You're going to have a really good time watching it, right? Well, it's a good chance I'm going to. It's going to suck. And you're dumb for watching it." Like, that's what I think part of the problem is that we are so willing to sit there and just either force our opinion on somebody or want to tell them how much they're wrong for enjoying something, that's part of it. It's like that's where the problem really comes in when we start saying that, oh, that should end this at this point and you are wrong for watching it. That's when I think we need to take a step back and be like, somebody's watching this shit because people keep on going back.
We can always be wrong as well, too, because I remember when Logan happened, right? Logan was the 3rd Wolverine movie officially, and that was the end of Wolverine, and then Hugh Jackman said it was the end, everybody said it was the end, and I was pretty stoked, and I didn't want any more Wolverine. I'm done. The character's done. Let him die in peace. It was a marvelous film. There's no reason to ever go back to that well. Then they had the idea, well, what if we put Wolverine in Deadpool 3? Wait, what? No, this character's done. It's never going to happen. Marvel's never going to let that happen. Let me enjoy what a great closure that was, because I love that character and how Hugh Jackman represented him. Then they officially announced the casting. Suddenly I'm excited again. Suddenly I feel wrong again. Suddenly I'm glad they made another Wolverine movie, because it ain't Deadpool 3 to me. It's Wolverine 4 with Deadpool.
Well, you're wrong, Aaron.
I'm aware, but I can't wait. I'm excited. And it won't.
Like, how does it feel to be wrong?
Fine. I have no problem admitting when I'm wrong.
Are you? Well, what?
I do it all the time. You should listen more.
I can't hear you. What?
Yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Troy?
No, Troy doesn't admit when he's wrong. Aaron has admitted.
We do know that too.
Aaron has admitted it plenty of times.
Look at the look on his face right now. Like,
you can't see Troy, but he's hiding from his microphone. Really, he just doesn't even want to go near it. He's like, I don't know what you guys are talking about. It's not me. Hey, not me.
I like Wolverine. I'll watch everything Wolverine related. It's fine. And just like Aaron's going to be back to watch Expendable Live.
Oh, I would.
Meg 3.
I would.
Expendables Live. He's going to go to the ballet. It's going to be Expendables the ballet.
That would be good.
Spend Alive. Spend
I'm not lying. I would watch another one. Yeah, I would. I hate to say it, but I would. It might not be in the theater though if the trailer looked.
But what I really like though is like the John Wick universe, right? Because I don't need another Keanu Reeves John Wick movie, but the universe is really interesting.
Agreed.
So keep the universe going and focus on other people.
He's right. What's wrong with that?
No, he's not right.
Have you seen The Continental on Peacock?
No, I'm not going to watch it.
Well, that's too bad. You're missing out. It's actually a pretty good show.
It's probably terrible.
And Ballerina looks great. Anna de Armas. Yeah.
Oh, I can't. I was about to do the same bit with her, but I can't. It's going to be amazing with her. It's Anna de Armas.
How's it feel to be wrong?
How am I going to say a single bad thing about her?
Can't be done. All right, so pick your favorite franchise. It has to have 5 films or more. Any franchise had to have 5 films. Now, when should that franchise have ended? And you can't go, well, this one, but I'm so happy it went on, blah, blah, blah. No, you have. When do you think it actually should have ended? With what movie?
I would just say I got 2 specifically.
Oh, okay.
Nightmare on Elm Street 3 should have been the end of the Nightmare on Elm Street because I think Nancy started it. Nancy should have ended it.
I like that.
And then I think Hunger Games should have ended with the 3rd movie. Yes, it counts because there's 5 movies because Snow comes out in November.
But wasn't the 3rd one? Wasn't that a 2-parter?
No, the 3rd one made a 3rd one and a 4th one, just like Harry Potter made the 7th one and the 8th one, which should have only been the 7th.
Oh,
one.
so you're saying it should have ended with that 4th one officially?
It should have ended with a much shorter version of 3 and 4 squished together into a brilliant 2.5-hour action-packed finish.
But not this prequel thing.
But not the stretched out, and definitely not the prequel.
Gotcha. Okay, that's fair. John, what do you got?
Bourne Ultimatum should have been last.
Yeah. You didn't want the Jeremy Renner version?
No, I mean, I like the Jeremy Renner version. However, I think that could have been its own story. You didn't have to go and tie it in the Bourne in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, it could have been an attack of a snowplow.
Oh my God.
Jeremy Renner's Bourne's on top of a mountain. There's a bunch of terrorists with snowcats attacking. Oh, this thing writes itself. Reboot.
I forgot my other one.
He's fine, so it's okay to make that joke.
It's totally okay to make that joke.
Mine's Friday the 13th. That's my favorite horror franchise, but it should have ended with 7. Like,
is 7 my favorite one? The one with the psychic?
Yeah. And I thought long and hard on this because Friday the 13th has a lot of movies. It has, technically 12.
Right.
But they never got the 13th one. Stupid rights issues. But I thought long and hard, but I wasn't going to give up on 6 because 6 is a lot of fun. And it has an Alice Cooper soundtrack, which is kind of awesome. Then 4, I love 4. 5, I don't care about, but I really dug 6, even though it's kind of wild how they bring a psychic in and Jason's taking on a psychic.
That's 7, right?
Yeah, that's 7. Because there's like a good 10 minutes where Jason looks like, what the fuck is happening? And I love that. All these movies, and he's never really felt like he's, I don't have to worry about this. Like in 7 at the end, he's like, what is this chick doing? This is not cool. I can't do this. And I've been like dead for like 20 years now.
Yeah, he looks so confused. His eyes lined up. All right, that's my bit for the night. I'm out of here.
That's funny. Okay, so let me tell you a secret. We're going to talk about what it means to be a film critic, but I have to give you some context. And for some context, I had 2 tweets that went out and over 150,000 total impressions, like 150,000 people apparently. I went viral, is what I'm saying, which is cool. Yay. So on the last podcast, you heard me review a movie called In the Fire, starring Amber Heard. I liked it. I'm sorry. I'm not ashamed of that. I enjoyed the movie. I watched it with other people. They enjoyed it as well. So I guess they're all assholes too, according to the internet. I don't know. But because of this whole Johnny Depp and Amber Heard thing, right? This big trial, blah, 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 blah. So I had a positive review on Rotten Tomatoes when so many other people had a negative review of it. Therefore, number one, I obviously don't know what I'm talking about, even though that's just how critics work. Sometimes they like movies I like and vice versa, or they like movies I don't like and vice versa. It happens. That's how the critic game works. So I had the review up, no big deal. And actually now I think there's more than one positive review, so I'm not alone anymore. So, yeah, there's two of us. So that poor guy, Nestor, he's probably going to get chastised too. I'm sorry, guy. But anyway, I put my review up, no big deal. Did it on the podcast. Nobody really pays it much mind, but it goes up on Rotten Tomatoes. And of course, I'm a Rotten Tomatoes accredited critic. And my whole notifications are blowing up on the Hollywood Outsider and on my personal Twitter. I'm like, what is happening? What did we do? More importantly, what did John do? What did he say that's going to piss somebody off? Because that's probably where it came from. Some offensive shit. And I'm going to have to go re-edit the podcast and hurry up and get that out before we get sued or something. And then, no, it was some Amber Heard fans retweeted my review and was saying, hey, this guy likes it. Amber Heard is this, that's great. Da, 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 da. And then the Johnny Depp people, I swear to God, that's all it is Amber Heard and the Johnny Depp people started chastising me. And it started very, very fine. As a critic, you hear this sometimes. People they don't understand why you like a movie. They don't understand why you don't like a movie. And so they come after you a little bit. Usually it's just a little bit. This was nonstop the entire weekend, like nonstop. Emails, comments on the review, comments sent to me, emails sent to me, tons of tweets, blah, 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 blah. And just trashing me. I don't know I should have my critic's license revoked. There's no license. What the fuck are you talking about? I don't know what I'm talking about. You're right. I've only been reviewing movies for 10 years, 12 years, 15 years, whatever the number is. I've been bought. When does my check clear? Because I would like that. If that's a thing, I always love when people say that when you give something a positive review, oh, they've been bought. I got no fucking money. What are you talking about? And so it just went nonstop. And then and this was total coincidence. You guys remember that Variety had this other article out where it said Warner Brothers never fired Amber Heard from Aquaman 2. And they were basically just kind of like going after her again in this Variety article because some fans paid some money to get a hold of her transcripts from court so that they could go through it. And they reprinted all the negative shit from that, right? Remember this? Well, it happened right before that review came out. And I had made a tweet, and I don't apologize for it. And I said, and I quote, at some point, regardless of your stance on this whole trial fiasco, it really feels like a whole industry has come crashing down on Amber Heard, and it becomes somehow okay to tear this woman down over and over. And I said, it shouldn't be okay. We all need to move on from it. Now, that's not a defense of anything she ever did or said or, whatever happened in her and Johnny Depp's life. It simply is, this was a very bad breakup. There was a lawsuit. They're both adults, whatever. Move on. Why are we still trashing this woman? She's already been humiliated in court. They don't need to keep printing those articles just because it generates clicks. And if it was, it's just not okay to keep doing that to him or her. It's just not okay in general. I just think it was a bad relationship. Move the fuck on. Everybody move on. Get over it. That's all that was. So because I had that, and it was coincidentally the same week as that review came out, one had nothing to do with the other. Review was done before that article ever came out. So, haha, little do you know. But I had so many just shitty comments. I would attack you, just your obviously awful taste in movies. Nothing weird about picking polarizing movies almost as if it's on purpose. Maybe it would have been more believable if the reviews were well balanced and actually touched on something rather than barely scratching the surface of what you believe is good about her performance in this instance, which is not true. If you read it, I did do that. So you obviously didn't fucking read it. Whatever. I'm sorry. I'm swearing too much.
How do you really feel, Aaron?
The point is she shouldn't be getting reviews or a spotlight in this way. That's the issue. I don't care how she performs. What she did is unforgivable and beyond opinion or simply looking past her personal life. That's not my job. As a critic, it's not your job to debate on how her personal... I don't give a shit what she did. I don't care what any of them did when you're reviewing a film. It's only what's on the screen that I care about. That's what you're supposed to do.
Just like in sports. Like, I don't care what happens in Aaron Rodgers' antics off screen,
yes.
Right? He's paid to throw the football and make touchdowns and win games. If he's throwing the football and making touchdowns and win games, I don't give a care if he's using meth off the. I mean, I hope he's not using meth, but it's the same thing. You're watching. We're here to do what we need to do, which is review the material and review the art, not review the antics off screen.
It's not about the review or what you thought of it. The reason people are outraged is because she shouldn't be given a platform of any kind. It's an insult and a slap in the face to her victim, Johnny Depp, and to all the real victims that she exploited or mocked by pretending to be one of them. That's not how this works, man. And if you check, I gave Johnny Depp's last movie a positive review. Minamata, look it up. Kiss my ass. That was like a year ago. If you can't or won't understand how the vast majority of decent people are totally repulsed by the very thought of this woman because of the vile things she has done and continues to do, then I cannot help you. Again, what does it have to do with my review? What does it matter? It has nothing to do with my review at all. And then there were some nice ones, of course, like never change how you review. Thanks for reviewing it. Thank you for your review. There's also very nice things. So I'm not discounting that. And I appreciate those people that were being supportive. But it just frustrates the shit out of me. And I've got a platform. I'm going to use it. So yeah, I am going to tell you how I really feel. That's how I really feel. A film. So we're going to talk about what it means to be a film critic. I've talked a lot. I just wanted to explain this setup. I got trashed for like 4 days basically. And I'm a really thick-skinned dude. But after a while, it does start to wear on you. I can't imagine being one of those two. Jesus Christ. What's that like?
Especially when you were compared to Dexter at one point, weren't you?
Oh, that was actually really funny. So
it was funny.
Somebody, because there's a lot of memes and mean shit and da-da-da-da. And that's, it's okay. You don't like my review, whatever. But some of it was, but somebody did a comparison of my picture and Dexter's picture and said, anybody else see a connection? And they meant it to be like mean and shitty. But I thought it was hilarious. And I even told the person, I'm like, I know you meant this as an insult, but I appreciate this. This is very funny.
I think you missed the opportunity to reply to that and say, yeah, you remember how Dexter kind of like, got lost in a hurricane and stuff? He came back. I'll come back from this too.
No, I just said, it was funny. I gave him credit. I'm like, I know you meant this as an insult, but I appreciate it. It was funny. So speaking of you guys, we've been reviewing movies for many, many years, blah, 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 blah. How do you determine the quality of a film when you review it? Troy?
I mean, for me, it's really sitting down and looking at, does the movie itself have a solid opening, middle, and end? Does it have a, adequate runtime as far as the content presented? And do I feel like I was, adequately satisfied with the amount of content received? Does it leave me hanging, wanting a little bit more? Am I checking my watch the entire time? Do the performances seem real? Can I actually like lose who I'm watching? Like I have a problem, for example, with the live action remake of Aladdin, because I never see the genie. I just see Will Smith being Will Smith. Right, where you look at like A Quiet Place and I don't see Emily Blunt. I see this distressed mother who's trying to save her child and, make sure that her kids are fine. And, one, can't hear and she's like dealing with the grief of the loss of another child. And she's got this baby on the way. Like you lose Emily Blunt completely. And all you see is this mother who has to fight for her life every single day. Like, those are the movies I think that really stand out to you. So you're really analyzing, how do I feel about what I am observing? I've spent, $15 to $20 on this art. I'm going to sit here for 2.5 hours and be lost in the art. At the end of it, do I feel good about that $15 that I spent?
Mm-hmm. For me, it's a matter of just what I see on the screen. I try to remind myself that anything that has to do with other people outside the screen or with the personal life, that's not really something that I really consider when it comes to reviewing anything. And if it's something that I walk in and I'm like, all right, well, so-and-so is an a-hole in real life, and I don't know if I'm gonna be able to separate that. Well, then it's my duty to separate myself from the critical side of it. Because, if I'm unable to detach either my love and appreciation or my disdain for whatever outside thing that is happening to the movie, whether it's a news story, whether it's content, stuff like that. If I can't separate myself, well, then I'm not going to really review it. But so long as I can sit there and let it go and just appreciate what I'm really seeing as fairly as possible, that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, to me, when I'm determining the quality of a movie, the idea is that it only exists whatever is on your screen, whether movie screen, TV screen, whatever you're reviewing, whether it be film or TV. It has to be only that. So, and it should also be based on the intent of the filmmaker. Too often I see people that are amateur critics, I would say. And hey, you know what? Everybody wants their opinion to be public, and I understand that. People try. Not everybody is a good writer. Some people are just trying to get out there, and some people have wonderful followings that are not good at this at all. But that's what it's supposed to be. Film criticism is supposed to be the intent of the filmmaker. The movie's supposed to be based on what movie they intended to make. So if you go in and you want it to be something else, that's on you, and that shouldn't affect your review. So when I write a review, I know what the movie is about. As I watch it, I'm reviewing it based on the kind of movie that they're making. So if it's I don't like supernatural films, but if I watch one, I'm going to review it fairly, because it's not just about me. It's about what the filmmaker is making. And is this a good film for the supernatural genre? Is it telling that story of whatever that supernatural situation is in a sound way? Is it doing it from a very clever way? Is it written well? Is the dialogue strong? Are the performances strong? Are the effects great? Blah, 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 blah. All that stuff. Just what's on the screen matters. I don't care what the ghost did before he showed up to set. I don't care how mean the ghost was at, dinner last night. I don't give a shit. It doesn't matter. It doesn't apply to the film itself that you're reviewing. That's how you judge the quality.
Right.
Now, does anything
care what the ghost said?
I don't care. I don't
Nicely
care.
done.
Does anything outside of the film influence my opinion? No. And I love all you support a monster. Blah, blah, blah. Look, I don't have any dog in that fight. I didn't care about that trial. I don't care. If you want my honest opinion, I don't care about celebrity bullshit. I just don't care. And if you listen to my review, I said I am not even really a fan of Amber Heard typically from her performances. She's good in that movie, and I don't really care what anyone says. And as I read other reviews after I had written mine and published it and a lot of mentions about that trial were in their reviews. To me, that is already tainting whatever you think. As soon as I see that mentioned, I already don't want to hear what you have to say about it, because you have a preordained opinion that should not be part of whatever you're writing. I take that seriously. What about you guys? Does anything outside ever influence you? It doesn't influence me. Does it influence you?
I don't think I've run into a situation where anything from the outside has ever influenced me. It's hard to remember all the different reviews. I usually sit there and let whatever is on the screen just wash over me. So yeah, I don't think, well, with the exception of, I don't know, if my own fandom probably gets in the way of some of my reviews. So as we all know, I'm a Godzilla fan, but I think I score Godzilla movies fairly. I had a huge love for Star Wars. I know I definitely scored most of that shit fairly.
Tell me how you really feel.
I mean, there was a little bit of a slant downward on the Boba Fett, but
Yeah, Boba Fett you could not rate fairly.
Yeah, Boba Fett I wasn't going to rate fairly, and I was never going to be able to rate that fairly. Oh, good call, actually. I didn't even remember the fact that I hate that goddamn character.
What about you, Troy? Anything?
I mean, yeah, you try to look at each film individually. I mean, I think most people that have been around the Hollywood Outsider long enough know I'm the one that usually does the Pixar reviews for the latest Pixar movie that came out. I didn't actually do Elemental because I missed it the weekend that it came out because I was on a cruise. Had to watch it later.
Wonderful cruise, by the way.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, when we do that again, you're all coming with us. We're not paying for you, but you're all coming with us.
In spirit.
Because I'm not paying for you.
Exactly. But yeah, I mean, I try not to compare. Like, I know Pixar can do this level of work, and I know the people at Pixar can do this level of story. So I come in expecting Pixar movies to be at a higher level to begin with. And when they don't hit that bar, I kind of maybe bag on the movie a little bit, and I probably shouldn't do it from that perspective. Luca's a great example. I'm sure Luca is a really great story for somebody. I thought it was probably one of the worst Pixar movies I've ever seen. It was just very contrite. It was the boy version of The Little Mermaid. I mean, it was very not Pixar, it felt like maybe a knockoff DreamWorks or something. I don't know. But that's me bringing that Pixar lens to a Pixar movie, right? So should I be doing that? Maybe, maybe not, because it's a Pixar movie that's being reviewed. M. Night Shyamalan's probably the same way. Like, I know M. Night Shyamalan has greatness. I know he has missteps. But there's a formula for M. Night Shyamalan movies. And so you kind of probably have that in the back of your mind as you're watching the movie. Like, there's going to be the M. Night Shyamalan formula here, and you're looking for the formula. And then when the formula doesn't work, you're like, nah, that movie sucked. So, you know, I try not to bring anything from the outside, but I think there's that perspective, right? Just like
we should be honest. I think that's fair.
You know, Aaron's got the Miles Teller, Darren Aronofsky issues, right? You know, and maybe that's the thing. Maybe I should be doing Miles Teller reviews and Aaron should be doing Pixar reviews.
But see, I honestly, I try to take those because I try to challenge myself to make sure that I'm fair. Like one of the reasons I even took that Amber Heard movie, I swear to God, was because I knew it wasn't going to be reviewed fairly because of that whole trial situation. Even though I didn't really follow it, I didn't care. None of that stuff matters to me. You know, people were even pulling up old jokes I made during the trial. I'm like, so your first time on Twitter, like you didn't make stupid jokes. I didn't have to follow it to make jokes, jackasses. All right. Jesus Christ. That's what you do on Twitter.
It was everywhere.
Yes. And it was a pretty clever joke. I said something along the lines of there should be an Amber Heard date alert. I think that was funny. You know, I didn't mean anything by it. Didn't mean it was just timely. I would have said the same thing about Johnny Depp and it still would have been as funny. It's just Amber Alert. It doesn't, It's not as catchy as Johnny Alert, you know, because Amber Alert's a thing. Duh. Anyway, so I took their review because I thought the movie wasn't going to be judged fairly. And I think it's important. I take film criticism seriously. And I'm not saying everybody has to. Everybody that does a podcast doesn't. It's me. I take it very seriously. And I thought that she deserved to be reviewed fairly in the movie for good or bad. And if it would have been bad, I would have reviewed it that way. And it wasn't like a stellar review. It was a 6.5 for Christ's sake. But she gave a good performance and she should be given credit for that. It's got, again, nothing to do with any outside force. I just don't get why some people can't separate. And we had that whole conversation. We had an whole episode about this like a few weeks ago, right? Can you separate the art from the artist? Maybe we should have made the whole thing about Amber Heard and Johnny Depp. Never seen anything like it. But one of the things that I saw many, many times is that I was bought. This is my favorite thing ever. So let me ask you guys, have you ever had your review bought? Be honest.
All the time. I mean, how do you think I afford my life? I mean, no. If I had been bought, I'd so take the money.
Jesus Christ.
I would so take the money.
Send me a check.
Send me a check. That is John at the Hollywood Outsider. I'll get you. You know what? Forget that. I'll get you my Gmail later, but so I can get you my address to send the check to, or you can Zelle me. You can Zelle me. I don't care. I'll take it. But no, I've never had a review bought, though I do love when, like, my very first, I'll never forget this. My very first review was, I forget the name of the movie now, but my very first review that I did got picked up for the poster. And I was like, are you kidding me? My very first review, they loved my review that much. They wanted a couple of lines for their poster. I'll take it. And yeah, that felt very cool, but I've never been bought.
What was I mean, people have tried for sure. We got a close friend of ours that has had a movie and a TV show out, and you know, I've gotten the emails post the review going like, well, that's not really what we're trying to do. That's not really what happened. And I'm like, look, I watched the movie. If it didn't work, and I'm commenting on that it didn't work or it didn't come across the way that you thought it was coming across, that's because that's how I saw it. Right. It's not saying that the movie was bad or not as good. It just didn't hit the way that you thought it might have. And that's just critical feedback for next time. You know, it doesn't mean it wasn't a bad movie. I enjoyed the film. I think I gave it a 5.5 or a 6, you know, which doesn't mean that it's awful. It means that it's a thoroughly enjoyable watch.
Yeah.
Bought and I bought the movie because I thought it was an enjoyable watch. It had some things that needed work on.
People really don't understand how scoring works sometimes. I mean, 5 is average. That's not a bad thing. You know, you're basically looking out of 10. We rate on a 10, and 5 is average. You know, anything over anything 6 or better is good. Like that's a recommendation. Anything less than 6
a 3-star scale is like a 3-star scale would be a 2, a 5-star scale it would be a 3, a 10-star scale would be a 5.
Yeah,
you know,
it's just how things go.
It means you did your job.
Yeah,
wasn't
5
spectacular.
Is 5 is very average.
Yeah.
650 is a good movie. I enjoyed it. It doesn't mean that it's great. It's not going to be the most memorable thing in the world, but it's, you know, solid. You start getting like 7.5 and 8 and everything else. That's when you start going good. I hate thumbs up and thumbs down. That's just the laziest way to review. Sorry, Ebert and Siskel.
Yeah, I am a fan personally of the even numbered scale, because when you have an even numbered scale, there's no fence post sitting. right? It's either it was good or it was bad, or it was superb and it was absolute shit, right? 4-point scales, I think, are usually the better way to look at things, because you have to stake bad, okay, good, best, right? There's no, it was either good or bad. It's like, that doesn't tell anybody anything.
So I will tell you, as somebody who's been doing it for, well over a decade, no, I've never been bought, never been solicited. I've had people, especially independent people that are just trying to get their movie out there. They've approached me and asked me to review them and been super nice to me to try and, I'm sure, court favor a little bit, which we're going to get into in a second. But in terms, no one's ever offered money. I mean, you every once in a while you'll get, do you want to come to the set and stuff like that? And I don't do those. So it's just not something I'm interested in, but legit matters. I really,
hell, if they're paying for it, I'll come.
No, John, they don't pay for it. They just
no, because that's the thing. It's like, I could get a free copy of the movie to review it. I'd rather pay for the movie on my own, because then I'm not, feeling like I'm obligated to give this thing a review because I got a free copy of it. That's why I bought the movie that I reviewed, because I didn't want to be accused of actually taking a gift. Right?
Well, I get screener links. That's part of film criticism. I mean, I get screener links all the time, but
that's being done by the distribution company, not by the actual film creator.
PR company, sometimes distribution, like, Lionsgate or somebody like that. It just depends. It always depends. But I still have to review it fairly.
But that's part of the machine, right? That's not like, hey, but buddy,
No, that's not independent. That's just the typical studio stuff.
And I gave you that spot in line at Southwest. Could you
I've never been bought. Do studios routinely court us for positive coverage? I mean, it depends on how you look at it. I'm trying to take you guys behind the scenes, I guess, just because this is such a big deal, such a nonsensical big deal. What happens is, for me in particular, because I am Rotten Tomatoes accredited, which makes a difference from a lot of criticism, because they do want the score to be influenced, right? Because the more positive reviews you have, the higher the score goes, and that helps them sell the movie. That's what PR companies want. That's what studios want. But they don't court. You get a press release. Do you want a screener to link? If I have time for it, or if one of these guys have time for it, whatever it is, then we say yes. We get a link. That's it. That's the end of it. Sometimes they'll ask for proof of coverage because they want to see the reviews that come through on their movies. And I totally understand that too. But no, they don't court you trying to solicit your positive review. They're very nice because that's what sales is. Like, they're trying to get their movie in front of enough critics to hopefully help their film and have people enjoy the experience. But if you've been doing it a long enough time, you have to be fair about it, or you don't get more screeners.
Oh, there was that one time that one guy wrote back because apparently my review was too harsh and I didn't understand Panamanian culture.
Oh, right. And you were from Panama.
Right.
Yeah. So, it happens. And any bad review I've written, I've gotten plenty of messages about them, over the years. It happens. And you just have to take it and say, hey, that's just my fair review. I mean, granted, it's nice to be on a Blu-ray cover or poster and that sort of thing. Yeah, that's pretty neat. But I'm not going to write a review just to hopefully get on, just to hope for that. That's just not why I write them. It's a lot of work to write a review. And it drives me nuts when people think that you would do that. And I'm sure some people do that. That's probably not fair, but I have integrity over this, whether you believe it or not. I don't really care, but I do. So should any outside elements matter in a movie? That's my next question. Should they?
I mean, it's a tough one for me, right? Because I'm watching the next Pixar movie because I like Pixar movies. Like, I've grown to expect my Father's Day weekend to be spending it with my kids watching a Pixar movie. So yeah, if I'm watching an M. Night Shyamalan film and I'm like, ooh, Signs was good, and I really liked Sixth Sense, and Lady in the Water is a really great movie, and I like all of the Unbreakables, Split into Glass. Glass wasn't the best, but it still finished up the trilogy really well.
I enjoyed it.
Like there's just things that you're going to bring into that because of what it is that you're watching, right? I mean, I don't think there's a way to completely block it out. You're comparing even Star Wars, right? You're comparing all of the Star Wars universe in this new thing that you're reviewing and going, is this thing comparable to Star Wars of old, Star Wars of new, Star Wars of recent? Does it fit into the timeline? So I think that there's a place for certain things to be brought in, But when you're saying, I am reviewing this actor in this role and I'm reviewing this director in this moment of how we put the film together, then you have to look at it as the independent content and block all the rest of that stuff aside.
Hey, I got a quick aside here to throw in. Did you throw Lady in the Water in because you like that movie or because you're making fun of me?
No, I love Lady in the Water.
Oh, okay.
Amanda hates that movie.
All right. Just want to make sure. I knew somebody hated that movie, and I love that movie, but
it's quirky as all get out. Don't get me wrong. Right. But I mean, like when it like all comes together at the end, you're kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like once the ending gets done and everything kind of,
I mean, I'm like, you don't have to sell me,
I see
man.
what he was trying to do. And it's like, it's not a great film, but it definitely has the M. Night Shyamalan, wow factor at the end, I guess, unlike The Happening, which didn't happen.
Say hello to your mother for me.
Anytime there's something outside of a movie influences me, if I cannot separate myself from any sort of outside influence, then I can't do the review. I'm trying to think if I have any examples of this happening. I think the only one I can think of is the Seth Rogen food animated movie.
Sausage Party.
Sausage Party. That one, the outside of the movie thing that happened with that one was that the animators were essentially worked to death to make that happen. And and on top of that, not only were they worked to death, but they didn't get paid the amount of money they should have been paid. There was a lot of other background things that happened to the artist. Because I am somebody who knows a lot of animators, somebody who has gone to school with a bunch of animators, somebody who at one point could have been an animator, like I saw that as something I could not separate myself from, and I couldn't watch that movie for that reason.
And I'm sure it's from years of doing it, but I can compartmentalize. I don't take my baggage into a movie, even if and I don't care about the overall arc of like Star Wars or Marvel and whatnot. Each movie should be taken as an individual. So if I go in and I'm rating that movie based on that movie, so if it should be based on everything I see there should count. Now, if it's matching up to a bunch of pieces that I don't know because they haven't done a good job of informing me of those pieces, that's on them. That's not my problem. That is part of the movie. It's missing in part of the movie. So that's fair game to me. But I can compartmentalize. I always try to see movies that I normally would not necessarily not enjoy, but if it's a director that challenges me, if it's a topic that challenges me, I try to do that because I think it's important to try and keep your mind as open as possible. My only exception to that is I don't see Wes Anderson movies for review, and that's typically because I just have not enjoyed any of them, and I feel like I'm doing a disservice to the filmmaker by reviewing a movie when I already know I'm not going to like it. Because for whatever reason, his style just doesn't speak to me personally. So getting approved through Rotten Tomatoes, this is also one of the things I got. It's so easy. Anybody can be a Rotten Tomatoes critic. No, they cannot. No, they cannot. They just simply cannot. I'm tired of hearing that, and I'm tired of having to explain it. So I'm going to explain it here. There's a whole process you have to go through to be approved on Rotten Tomatoes. Amanda's the other Rotten Tomatoes approved critic on the show. These two guys aren't, because they don't write enough reviews, because you have to have a minimum to even get in the door. And then it has to do with your content, how you review, how fairly you criticize, what your scores are, like how often you write reviews. You have to have so many a year and blah, 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 blah. All these things matter, and you have to go through a whole review process. And then here's the trickier part, and I think an important distinction. If you work for the Hollywood Reporter, you get a job as a critic for the Hollywood Reporter, you can get approved that day through the outlet. That's different. I'm approved as an individual, which means it doesn't matter the outlet. I can go anywhere and I'm still approved as a film critic because I've met the criteria for an individual. Most people that are critics that you see are under the umbrella of an outlet. That's different. The outlet gets approved because they're a mass media publication. So they've already gone through the criteria of the established reviews and and they're responsible for maintaining credibility, integrity, and making sure that their writers are responsible. I am approved as an individual, so I am responsible for that. I am responsible for my integrity, and I'm responsible for my output, if you will, just like Amanda is. Yeah, same situation. Those things are very integral to being approved. So it's a lot harder for an independent individual person to be approved as a critic through Rotten Tomatoes than it is for someone who just gets a job at Hollywood Reporter or Variety or Deadline or any of those major outlets, or even smaller outlets that just have major output, because we're an independent outlet. Hollywood Outsider isn't as big as those. So that's how I'm approved. It's harder than it is for anyone that gets a job at an outlet. So don't tell me it's easy, because you have no idea what you're talking about. And that's the most infuriating claim, because it's so lacking in information. It's just all bad info. If you say that to me, I'm already going to ignore you because you don't know what you're talking about, and I'm tired of seeing it or hearing it. There. Was that too snotty? I hope it was.
Yeah, it totally came off that way.
Good.
Yeah, a little bit. But you know what? I can't speak to any of that.
All right, so back to fun. I'm sorry. I'll try to say it less snotty. It's hard. Is that good?
You have to have enough reviews under your belt. You have to have enough respect in the community. People that are getting approved to be an approved critic on Rotten Tomatoes have done the work.
Yeah.
That's the thing. You just like you go out and you train for a sport or train for the Olympics. They're there because they've done the work. If you're an approved critic, you've done the work. Therefore, you commenter on Twitter have not done the work. Therefore, you do not have anything to say. It's an opinion. I guess you're free to say it because social media exists, but it's just that. It's an opinion.
You've been bought.
Yeah. If you have that opinion, you've been bought for sure.
For the $8 to get my review approved with the blue check mark, then maybe I've been bought, but.
Oh man, I did that for Ho just because so we could have the edit capability. I didn't care. That edit capability is awesome. Thanks, Elon. So what has been the most difficult film to review for you, and why? Either one of you, if you've had one that really was a struggle for you. Because I can tell you, mine's in the fire, and it's because of what happened afterward.
Overall, I think my harder reviews are the reviews where I find myself not really enjoying the movie, because I'm usually looking for things to at least not destroy them because I don't want to be that person that writes that way, unless you are the guy who made The Giving Tree, which fuck you and fuck you very much.
I think it was The Family Tree. I don't even think you have the right movie title.
I think it was The Giving Tree.
Nope, it's The Family Tree. Looked it up.
Is it The Family Tree?
Mm-hmm.
Well, see, that's how much I didn't like writing that review. I don't even remember it. And also that guy coming back to us and saying, Aaron, you need to rewrite this.
Oh, yeah, I love that. No, we're not going to rewrite the review because you didn't like it. Sorry.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened a few times.
The most difficult film to review for me, maybe it was the No Man of God one, because it's something that I don't typically watch on a regular basis or do. Plus, I'm not a big true crime type person, and obviously Ted Bundy having a lot of crime actually happen perspective to it. That one I think was I don't have an angle, right? Because usually it's my kids in Pixar, or it's I like mystery boxes, so Shyamalan fits my thing. There's just a lot of there was nothing. I had to watch the film for the film. I mean, obviously Elijah Wood being in it helped a little bit because I had some background on Elijah. And I had some background on who Ted Bundy was and the situation and whatnot. But I was able to sit back on that one. And that one was I needed an angle to come from. And then the angle that ended up happening was that it was all based on the title of the movie, right? No Man of God. So if man was created in God's image, do we have the potential to be super, super great? Or do we have the potential to be super, super evil? Like the fall of man happened. And it kind of went on it from a biblical angle. And that got me going on writing the actual review. So I think that was probably the hardest one I did. But I think it was a super great movie at the end of the day, and probably one of my better reviews because of it, because I didn't have preconceived notions coming in.
That's good. That's important. I think the worst one, it was worse than even the Amber Heard situation is that when I wrote, it wasn't even a review, it was an article I wrote, the new Ghostbusters will not destroy your childhood, when that female Ghostbusters was coming out, and I just got trashed. That's back when Twitter was more entertaining and more fun. But just got trashed, and because for whatever reason people just hated that. And that was before the movie came out. It came out, and I remember, I'll never forget, because Paul Feig, who directed the movie, actually sent me a direct message on Twitter telling me how much he appreciated the article, and that it seemed like I understood what he's doing, what he's going for, before the movie even came out. And it was just a very, very nice thing, because I think he saw how the reaction was. Very similar to this one, just people reacting that hadn't even seen the movie. I mean, they were reacting before the movie was out, so I know they hadn't seen it because I saw it on the screener link, so I know it wasn't out. But it's just wild how some of these things play out. So there you go. That's what it's like to be a film critic. And does it ever bother you when people don't like your opinions? Does it ever bother you, like, sharing them on this weekly basis, and if people don't like them, they come and tell you, or anything like that? Does that bother you guys?
I mean, I get told I'm wrong all the time by you, so I'm pretty used to it.
That's fair.
That's pretty thick skin. I read a book called The Four Agreements. The Four Agreements basically come down to understanding that, you know, the world is connected and everyone is connected in the world. And so to treat everybody kind of with respect. So the four agreements are be impeccable with your words, don't make assumptions, don't take things personally, and always do your best.
That sounds stupid.
Jesus.
I'm sorry, Charlie.
It's a little woo-woo, it's a little foofy, but at the end of the day...
No, it's good. I like it.
I
like it. I just couldn't help myself.
Do you miss the time, though, when we could have a difference of opinion and we had real conversations about it like we do here? We don't have to agree on it, but I feel like, you know, we can still do that here. I don't feel like you can do it in the world as much nearly anymore, and it's just becoming exhausting to some degree. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I really do miss the days in which we could have a conversation about things, because now all we do is we take in these 5-second videos about whatever it is we want to already agree on, and that's the absolute truth. And as soon as we hear somebody else has a different opinion on it, we want to start a fight. It's never really a conversation. It's never really a why do you see that way, or what is it that makes you feel that way, or what did you see that I didn't see that make you do this? No. It's always, I've seen the absolute truth and you're the idiot. I'm exhausted by it.
All right. Well, I think on that note, we're going to wrap this bad boy up. I hope you guys, I had to get that off my chest, so I'm sorry if we offended somebody at some point, but.
No, I just love the fact that, you know, people were mean to Aaron, and Aaron goes, well, I have a platform and I'm going to use it.
I mean, this just goes to show Aaron's actual, this is what I dealt with Aaron for like almost 11 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's an egomaniac. And so he's just going to basically say, you know what? This whole episode is going to be about me.
Aaron's like, you guys want to be petty? I'll show you fucking petty.
You better correct that, you son of a bitch. I am not an egomaniac.
He is the nicest man in the world, and he does his job really, really well. Okay, and that's why he gets invited to go to Southwest by Southwest.
He doesn't get invited. He goes and signs up for it. Calm down.
I go as press.
He goes press. It's still an invitation.
You don't just get to go, jackass. Yeah, you have to be accepted. Earn that. Vetted.
And his quotes are like on movie posters and like, you know, the social media stuff, like for John Wick 4.
Yeah.
So, I think he's got a right to say what he wants to say.
That one was pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. Like that was
pretty cool.
Pretty good feeling to be on John Wick 4. And the TV commercial.
Yeah, I shared that with all my friends. I was like, you see this? This says a Hollywood Outsider underneath it. They're like, yeah, so. I'm like, that's my podcast, dummy.
Yeah, there was one movie that you got on the box cover art. I don't know if it was, I can't remember if it was you or Amanda. I think it was you, the family one.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, that like I wouldn't have watched that movie if Aaron's quote wasn't on the box, and it was a great movie.
Right. I wish more people would see that one. I really like that movie.
Let's say you didn't know Aaron.
Yeah, what was the name of that movie? Because I can't remember.
It's called Family.
It's called
it's called
Family.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very good movie.
It was a very good movie.
I know that because I recommended it. Boom.
You know what, Aaron? I'm pretty sure somebody's mad at you for that. I'm sure there's people who.
You know what? As soon as I said Amber Heard and Johnny Depp, there were at least 3 people mad at me.
Who's Johnny Depp?
Johnny Depp is well, that's when he puts on the Jack Sparrow stuff, right?
Oh, that's Johnny Depp.
That's Johnny Depp. Oh my God.
You've been doing that. You've been pulling a me all night tonight where you're like conflating words. You're,
just so irritated. Like all of it just irritated me because you can't respond on Twitter because everything, I tried like very nicely, to be eloquent with my words and everything else. And it just made me, and I finally just said, you know what? If I mute this, I don't have to respond to it. And that's what I did. And then no more.
Right.
I'm like, I'll address it whenever I do a podcast. And actually I was going to do it sooner. And devoted listener Christina Flores is a Patreon supporter. Thank you, Christy. She actually was asking me a question about something or other, and I told her that was our next topic. And she said, wait a couple weeks because let it let it calm down. Let it get out of your system a little bit, because otherwise you might be more reactive, more so than I already am. So she's probably right. And I appreciate that advice. I was ready to burn the whole thing down. I'm like,
I'm had so much fun.
I'm going to tell you motherfuckers what I think.
The podcast would be over with, or we would have more fans. That's the only way it would go. Podcaster blows up, and then all of a sudden we're getting paid by Spotify to be on their thing.
Finally we're bought. I'm in.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Why not?
See? I mean, you could have. I blame Christina, honestly.
Well, thankfully, she supports us. So yay.
Speaking of supporting us, you too can support a couple of bought film reviewers and a Rotten Tomatoes accredited whatever the hell he is by going to patreon.com/The Hollywood Outsider. You can join one of our tiers and you get stuff.
That was a great sales pitch. It's time to go. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Hollywood Outsider Movie Battle Royale. That is where we take 8 films, 2 favorites from each of our hosts, and we determine which one is the ultimate greatest film in the entire whole universe. It is definitely a lot of fun, and it is time to get to it. Let's decide what is the greatest film of its genre. It's time for the Movie Battle Royale. All right. This week, it is our 80s movie family battle royale, or in a different order, something like that. We're talking about family movies from the 80s. Now, Christy, this was your topic idea, so I want to know, why did you want to do family movies for a battle royale? You could have picked anything. Why family movies?
So this year, we've watched more movies through all the streaming outlets than probably we have in a long time. Because typically over the summer, that's the time that we're out and hanging out with friends and everything. And this year, well, we've been at home a whole lot. And the younger 2 kids are finally old enough to appreciate the movies I grew up with. And so I did this a long time ago when the 2 older kids were younger. And we went through and started watching all of my favorite movies as a kid. And so I was like, well, I'm already watching these, so what better than to make this the topic for our battle royale.
That's a great reason. And you know what? I think everybody's probably watching more with their families this year than they ever have.
Christy's got an interesting pick for a family movie, too.
Yeah, well,
spoiler alert.
Don't spoil it. But it makes sense to me. It really does. Now, I want to kind of discuss a little bit like what constitutes a family movie for us, because I think the cool thing about family movies, we put this poll up in our Facebook group for this to help us determine, they break any ties. Polls help us break any ties that we have. And we also have to pick from the top 5 for at least one of our choices. And it was interesting to me to go down this list and see a lot of movies that you wouldn't consider family films that other people do, because people have a different opinion of what a family movie is. And we ruled out animated films for this, by the way. I should note that. We have no anime. It's only live action. So, John, start us off. Like, what constitutes a family movie to you?
To me, it's something that has a point of view that everyone can identify with in the family, whether they be 5 years old, whether they be an adult, something where everyone can see themselves as part of the whole thing. Now, granted, a 5-year-old's not really going to be like, hey, I can see myself in that. But it's okay. The point still stands that it's something where everyone can watch together, and it bridges a gap between generations.
So, for me, when I pick the family movies, it's similar to what John was saying, something that we all can relate to or have an interest in. It's not too far down with like drugs or sex or anything.
Boo.
But I don't hide that stuff from the kids. I just gauge like which kids are with me watching this too, because obviously I have a huge age range. And I also think about what were the things that were special to me growing up. And I try to relive that with my kids. So what did I watch with my grandparents, or what did I watch with my mom and my sister growing up? And how can I try to recreate that magic with my own kids? And so we don't watch as many of the modern shows when we have family movie night, because the kids will just jump on Amazon or Disney or Netflix, and they'll watch those on their own, aside from like the big Disney blockbusters or something like that. So when we sit down for a family movie, it's really like, hey, let's create that magic.
That's a really great point, because for me, when I think about what constitutes a family movie, it's not anything in particular about the movie itself. John had a good point too, where everybody can identify with it. But to Christy's point, it's something that I would consider a film that I watched in my childhood that was usually special to my parent or parents. And for them, some of them would be movies that were special to their parents, but it could also be movies that are special to them as an adult. And finding that middle ground of what's age appropriate for your kid, but also you're going to really enjoy. Usually there's some level of humor because everybody wants to laugh together. That's a huge bonding mechanism. And that's kind of what I think of. So it's not a specific genre. It's not a specific, plot device. It's just about what I would consider to be magical or special that I watched with my parents growing up, or that I would want to share that same experience with my kids or my parents or my siblings or whomever.
Yeah, pretty much in line with everybody else. My definition of family movie is something that we all enjoy. I'll take a lot of the Disney cartoons out of that mix simply for the fact, not just because it's not live action, but because I didn't enjoy a lot of them. I was forced to watch, my kids are little, oh, great, another one of these. Those aren't family movies to me. Those are kids' movies. Those are movies that I watched because they wanted to watch them. Family movies to me are ones where we all could watch them. We're all laughing at the same jokes or different jokes. We're just enjoying the same movie and having the same feeling of, I can't wait to watch that again together. And like Jurassic Park, I would put in that category, stuff like that, where the whole family has a great time. And then you want to share it with your kids want to share it with their kids, even though it's, like we're talking about the 80s. Hopefully the ones that we're talking about are ones that my kids will want to share with their kids down the road because they love them that much, and, like my mom shared Old Yeller with me, stuff like that. Those are family movies to me. And
oh my God, Old Yeller is a tearjerker. I love that movie. It's
got a hard ending. Takes a hard right turn. Let me tell you.
Mm-hmm. Sure sucks. Does.
Don't tell me I haven't seen it yet.
What?
Is it a spoiler alert if it's 50 years old? I don't know what the rules are. Or 60.
Here's a tip. Don't watch it.
Okay.
I think it's a great movie. It's
do watch it. Just be prepared.
Yeah.
Have you watched I Am Legend?
Yes.
Worse.
All right, you'll be all right.
Okay.
You'll be all right.
That's such a weird comparison there. I don't know how to even reconcile this thought.
It'll make sense.
Okay.
Now, do you guys think, and I preface this with, one of us has a movie that might not be strictly PG. Do you feel like a family movie has to be PG-13 or below to be a family movie?
No. And here's why. One of the family movies that I watched growing up with my grandma and my grandpa and my mom was My Cousin Vinny. And it was a rated R movie. And I can tell you we enjoyed the shit out of that movie. And I'll watch that with my kids. I've already watched it with a couple of them, and I'll keep watching it. And I know full well that that's not your typical family movie. But there's been plenty of rated R movies along the way that we've really enjoyed.
I think most of the ones I watched as a kid were rated R, like Beverly Hills Cop and 48 Hours. And I don't know if I call that a family movie. But My Cousin...
those are a bit of a stretch.
But...
My Cousin Vinny, I could see... Because there's as far as the cursing level is to a minimum, and I think that's the only reason why it's a rated R movie is because there's some cursing in it. But Beverly Hills Cop, the whole tail of pipe thing, then is follow your dick, and then all this other stuff that happens.
I had
in
a very
movies.
weird.
Well,
family,
now we
man.
understand why Aaron is what he is.
Yeah, yeah. What are you gonna do? I don't tell you. We watched a lot of horror. My mom and I watched horror movies and R-rated comedies. She took me to see Eddie Murphy Raw in concert as a kid. So yeah, that's a family movie to me. It just is.
Yeah, horror movies I think still constitute. It's really just all about what keeps your family together, what you bond over.
We bond over murder.
John, don't act like you don't bond with your dogs watching true crime murder mysteries.
Okay, fine.
See?
Exactly.
Well, so what gets made as a family movie today versus what was a family movie in the 80s or earlier is quite different, right?
Oh, yeah.
If you start
they're
looking
nearly
at
unwatchable today.
there was a few scenes in some of the movies this summer as we've been going on this adventure that my 14-year-old son looked at me and was like, I can't believe they just said that. And I haven't even watched the Bad News Bears with him yet, and I just know if he watched that, he'd probably flip his lid. But that was all completely acceptable when we were growing up to, have the swears or have the jokes or things that would probably get us banned on social media because we're horrible people for making a joke about it. We're perfectly fine in these movies, so.
Yeah.
I can just see this conversation after watching the Bad News Bears with him. Mom, am I a nerd?
Uh-oh. Wow. I don't even know if, do you speak jive? An airplane could still play. If you, I don't even know. Because today's, a very sensitive culture. So I don't know the answer to that.
I feel like a lot of the family movies now revolve around superheroes.
Well, now it's all.
Yeah, I think that's just what the
entertainment.
difference is.
Yeah.
Now it's blockbusters and superhero movies.
No chance taken. No fun. Just simple. Capes, animation. That's it. That's your family movie these days. Well, let's get into our 8. We have we have decided the 8 finalists. Now, like I said, 4 of them are picked from our top 5 of our listener poll. And then the other 4 are our personal choices. And then we're going to break them down and we're going to vote them out until we get down to 1. What I find fascinating, I won't tell you what it is until the very end, but we had 5, or we had the listener top, of the top 5, one of them didn't make our top 4 and didn't make the entire 8. So I can't wait to talk about that one after we're all done because I don't like that movie and I'm happy. I'm just so happy. All right. So here we go.
Way to bury the lead.
Here we go. Let's start with Amanda. We go Ho North and Ho South. John and Christy are in Ho South. Sorry, Christy, you're our guest. You get stuck in Florida. And Amanda and I are in Ho North. So Amanda, you go first.
My first film is Ghostbusters.
I'm Winston Zeddemore, Your Honor. Look, I've only been with the company for a couple of weeks, but I gotta tell you, these things are real. Since I joined these men, I have seen shit that'll turn you white.
Well, you could believe Mr. Pecker.
My name is Peck.
Or you could accept the fact that this city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportion.
What do you mean, biblical?
What he means is Old Testament, Mr.
Yes.
Mayor. Real wrath of God type stuff.
Exactly.
Fire and brimstone coming down from the skies. Rivers and seas boiling.
40 years of darkness, earthquakes, volcanoes.
The dead rising from the grave.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
Enough, I get the point.
A team of scientists lose their jobs and decide that they're going to become Ghostbusters for New York. And the reason that I think this constitutes as a family film, because it might not to some, there is a level of comedy in here. There is a level of a creepy ghoul that's just animated and doesn't really look very creepy and is kind of more funny in the flubber kind of way. But also the core concept of what the film is. Normally, even back in the 80s, the heroes were not necessarily presented as nerds and scientists, as the smart guys. And so there was this nice dialogue that could be created about what is a hero, who is a hero. And it gave an opportunity to show that the smart kids, the cool kids, didn't have to be the heroes, that it could be the nerdy people, that they have a place and can do awesome things with their brains. And that they can still be cool in their own way and save the day. And so that's definitely why I think Ghostbusters constitutes, not to mention the catchy jingle.
You mean that Ray Parker song that was stolen? That one?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
My second one is E.T.
E.T., can you say that? Can you say E.T.? E.T.
E.T. E.T. E.T. E.T. Be good.
Be good. I taught him that too. You should give him his dignity. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen.
Phone.
Phone? He said phone? He said phone? Can't you understand English? He said phone.
Home.
You're right. That's E.T.'s home.
A gentle alien gets stranded on Earth, and a young boy named Elliot finds him and decides he's going to keep him a secret until the alien gets ill and the government wants him. This film is definitely a Spielberg film, so it's very magical to kids. But there's also a great core concept about unique friendships and accepting others despite their outwardly appearances and differences, which I think was a great conversation starter in the 80s and even is now. It's something that both of these films transcend through different generations and different time periods. But E.T. specifically creates that concept of sometimes we get scared of what people look like. You know, if there's naturally kids do. They might get scared if someone has a deformity, if they have a disability, something like that, something that they're not used to seeing. And it doesn't mean that there's anything to be scared of. And there is a way to accept people that you're unfamiliar with.
Aww.
And so I think there's a great message behind E.T. that doesn't even have to come across as a conversation because it just happens. It's this boy who, it's a weird alien. Like, who are you? What are you? This is weird. And you're weird and you don't really talk or say anything. And his sister's terrified of this creature, but then ends up dressing it up like, hey, I have a friend now. So I think there's a great story that's happening there beyond what they're presenting to us. And that's perfect for families. So those are my two, Ghostbusters and E.T. I'm going to go to our guest, Christina, first. What is your favorite between Ghostbusters and E.T.?
So despite the fact that E.T. terrified me as a kid, I'm still going to pick that over Ghostbusters after watching them both recently. I think Ghostbusters, while we enjoyed watching it just last night, can't hold a torch to E.T.
Fair enough. Johnny?
Easy peasy lemon squeezy, E.T., because Ghostbusters is not a family movie in my house.
Okay. Aaron?
Well, two things. One, John's family really sucks. Two,
he doesn't know who to call, Aaron, that's all.
That was actually pretty good. That was pretty, John, see how that was so much better than that meme joke you had at the beginning? Oh my God, that was so bad.
Savage.
I got 2 slams on John in 1 freaking minute. That was great. Ghostbusters is a fantastic family.
More slams than you've had all week.
It's a fantastic family film.
Geez.
And it was definitely a family film in my house. But I mean, E.T., man, it's all about friendship and love and just unbiased emotion. I mean, it's a movie that's about good and it's just happy. Don't get me wrong, Ghostbusters is funny as hell, and some of those jokes will never be funnier, but E.T. actually leaves an emotional stamp on my heart. And it still holds up, even now. Where Ghostbusters, the special effects definitely do not.
Those are a little laughable. Yeah, clean sweep, E.T.
All right. Well, E.T. moves on to the next round. So my first up is the greatest adventure film of all time, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
We've got some information here, but we can't make anything out of it, and maybe you can. Tanis development proceeding. Acquire headpiece, staff of Ra, Abner, Ravenwood, U.S.
Nazis have discovered Tanis.
Just what does that mean to you, Tanis?
Well, the city of Tanis is one of the possible resting places of the Lost Ark.
The Lost Ark?
Yeah, the Ark of the Covenant, the chest the Hebrews used to carry around the 10 Commandments.
What do you mean, Commandments? You're talking about the 10 Commandments?
Yes, the actual 10 Commandments, the original stone tablets that Moses brought down out of Mount Horeb and smashed, if you believe in that sort of thing. You guys ever go to Sunday school?
So Raiders of the Lost Ark, Indiana Jones heads after the Ark of the Covenant. You got Bible studies, you got crazy adventures, you got human characters, real stakes. I mean, it's the whole package. But why is this the best family film of the 80s? Well, I'll tell you one thing. It's a perfect film. Perfect. Find a flaw. I'll wait. I mean, I'll just hang out here while you look. You won't find one. And it has something for everyone in your family. It has adventure. It has action. It has intrigue, witty dialogue, globe hopping, little romance, monkeys, history. It's all there. And the film inspired generations to get involved in history. I didn't even know we had a past until this came along. And what's funny is it's all about history that's from the Bible, which to some people isn't history. So there's like a whole little thing going, what? There's like a whole thinking involved in this movie, which is nice for a family film. It made millions of children dream of grabbing a fedora and a whip and learning all they could about history and getting some artifacts back from Nazis. And on a personal note, I saw this movie with my mom. I got that fedora for Christmas and whip. Dreamed of becoming Indiana Jones. My mom still to this day will call me Illinois Pete because of all the times I would run around the house wanting to be Indiana Jones. And later watched those movies with my kids, and we got to see the far less perfect Kingdom of the Crystal Skull together.
Oh, good God.
But this
what
movie,
a torment.
This movie we all love equally. It's like 3 generations of people that love this film and continue to watch it as they go on with life. How is it not the greatest family film of the 80s? Number 2, my second film, has 3 simple rules and nobody ever follows them, and that's Gremlins.
You know, there's some things I forgot to tell you guys, and they're really important. Number 1, he hates bright lights. We know that. But you got to keep him out of the sunlight. Sunlight will kill him. Number 2, keep him away from water. Don't give him any water to drink. And whatever you do, don't give him a bath. And probably the most important thing, don't ever feed him after midnight.
Now, I struggled with my second one because it was between Empire Strikes Back and Gremlins when it hit me that Empire, like John's Ghostbusters analogy, is not a family film. It doesn't work on its own. And also what I thought was Gremlins is much more a movie that I watched with my family. It's a fantastic family film because what family hasn't watched Gremlins together? Only the bad ones. I mean, if you haven't, your family's probably broken, right? So this is a fun Christmassy, is that not nice? I don't know. But this is a fun Christmassy horror movie that anybody can enjoy, and everybody wants a Gizmo doll the second they see him, or a pet if they think it's real. It has adorable animatronics. It has a healthy story about how a lack of responsibility can absolutely destroy a community. Yeah, like horribly. Memorable characters, the darkest Christmas story you'll ever hear from Phoebe Cates' delicious looking mouth. I'm sorry, that sounded naughty. And villains that you can't help but love, even when they're destroying said community. Again, I saw this film with my mom. Again, watched an insane amount of times and eventually watched it with my kids, and they love it to this day. Also, fun fact, Mogwai means demon. So it's also a horror movie, and I love that as well. And also, Billy's dad really should have known better. He's kind of a bad father. But that's it. But that's Gremlins. So that's my second pick.
It's also a good teaching to tell your kids, this is why you don't get late night stacks, because you'll turn into a demon.
Exactly. That's a good call. That's probably why that was there. Although, you know, the long range debate is on what time zone are we talking? Because how do the Gremlins know what time zone?
Seriously. Yeah.
It's just very complicated rule when you really think about it. So, and also does saliva count as wet? Like if he licks himself, is that going to spawn one of those little babies? I don't know. A lot of questions about the rules. So there's some flaws. It's not as perfect as Raiders is. But of these two, Raiders of the Lost Ark and Gremlins, what is the best family film of the 80s that's going to move on to the next round? We'll start with John.
Look at you trying to coerce the votes.
Yeah, right. So this is going to surprise you because, I mean, everything should point to Raiders of the Lost Ark because it is
No, actually, John, it doesn't surprise me because when it comes to contrarian, I feel like you fit the bill.
Oh, this isn't contrarian. Okay. Like Raiders of the Lost Ark wasn't something we watched as a family. It was something I got to watch by myself or I watched with my older brother, but it wasn't like a family movie. Gremlins, on the other hand, was of the 3 movies that I went to the movie theaters with my family to go see growing up, it was the first one. So it has to be Gremlins.
Okay. Amanda?
I love both of these movies. You have a really tough tie here, but I do like evil with my family movies, so I'm going to have to go with Gremlins.
Christy?
All right. So, this is actually a tough vote because I've watched the Gremlins more with my kids. Okay? Mm-hmm. That's become one of our favorite recurring movies.
I like how she's saying this like, I don't want to hurt your feelings, Aaron, but...
No.
Yeah.
She definitely is.
But I grew up watching all of the Indiana Jones with my mom and my grandparents, and that is another movie that we have watched. And actually, when I was talking to my 14-year-old about this Royale, I told him that this was on there. He's like, that's what we watched on Christmas last year with Grandma. And I said, yes. So it is memorable for him too, because he remembered the exact movie, and so that's going to win for me.
I wish you could influence the vote more. I really, really do, because I'm going to...
That's very sweet, though.
I'm going to go on record that these two are wrong. But, hey, a vote's a vote, right? Sometimes
I feel like Raiders was a movie that inspired a group of children, and the parents were just like, okay, but enjoyed it themselves a little bit. Gremlins, I feel like, is the movie that's... It's going to grab any age.
You're drunk.
Easily.
You are
I
drunk.
think I'm going to disagree with you strongly. I mean, Indiana Jones was a hero in our house. And it wasn't just my hero. He was my hero probably more so because I looked up to my grandpa, and he would, like, my grandpa loved Indiana Jones, and we hyped it up, and I can't remember which one we saw in the theater, but any of them except for Crystal Skull, because it's a terrible movie, would have won over Gremlins in this.
That's a good question. Are we talking franchise, or are we talking...
Well,
no,
he just says he said specifically on here, Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Just movie.
But any of them, for me, would have beat Gremlins.
Yep.
I think I'm going to switch my vote.
You can't.
What?
Wait, I'll let her play. She can do
He
whatever
was
she
about
wants.
to say no, I couldn't until it went in his favor. Sorry, Aaron, I guess I can't. You were about to tell me I can't.
Oh, you ruined it.
No, I didn't. I didn't have an
in.
opinion. Let's take a vote. Can you change your vote before we moved on?
Haven't you done it before?
Yeah, I did.
After you've been convinced, you listen to somebody and they coerce you?
I did. Do you
I'm
feel
pretty sure he has.
Do you feel like your vote has honestly changed? Because you really don't have to change your vote. If you vote for Gremlins,
No, I don't have to change my vote. I don't do anything I don't want to do.
Wow.
But Christy raised a really great point that there were still a lot of adults that were influenced in that way as well. And then they watched it with their kids, and it became a family movie in that way. And it's still a Halloween costume.
So is Gremlins.
Not to the same capacity.
Where? Oh, whatever.
I'm not going to dress up as
fur
Gizmo.
babies or whatever. What are those things called?
Gizmo, Mogwais.
No. The toys
Furbies?
Furbies that looked like them. That's about as close as you could get. Yeah, I'm switching my vote.
Are you sure?
I already did it. Do you want to keep asking me?
Hey, you made the sale. Just let's keep going.
Close it. You're not a very good closer.
I want it to be fair. So if you're 100%.
It's fair. Christina convinced me.
Okay. Sweet. Bye, John. All right. So going to the next round is Raiders of the Lost Ark now. Yay. So next up, we're going to Ho South. It is time for Mr. Davenport to present his two.
All right, so first up and straight out of time is my first movie, Back to the Future.
That was really clever.
I know, wasn't it?
God.
Look at this picture. It's my brother, my sister, and me. Look at her sweatshirt, Doc. Class of 1984.
Pretty mediocre photographic fakery. They cut off your brother's hair.
I'm telling the truth, Doc. You gotta believe me.
Then tell me, future boy, who's president of the United States in 1985?
Ronald Reagan.
Ronald Reagan? The actor? Then who's vice president? Jerry Lewis?
What makes it such a great family movie? Is it the movie's ability to transcend generations and ultimately feel timeless? Is it the movie's ability to teach children just how funny the word butthead is and forever leave it as the first insult a kid will tell somebody? Maybe it's a nigh edible relationship that may or may not happen, but hey, who can blame them? You know what? It could be a lot of these things, but Back to the Future is a movie that so expertly chose and created its own pop culture future to it that new families today still bond over the jokes and references. New families today can still jointly look at how backwards the 1950s were and marvel at how anyone got around in those sorts of times, or actually sit there and say, wow, it looks so much easier back then. Its rewatchability makes it so much easier to put something like Back to the Future on as a family for the 1 millionth time versus Baby Shark or Dora the Explorer or whatever it is these crazy people watch these days. And that's why it's my first movie. My second movie, and this one's a little bit harder to follow up with because, hey, you know what? It is a bit of a dark horse, but it's The Monster Squad.
Is Frankenstein the name of the monster or the guy who made him?
The guy.
Right. Can't you read? Mom says you have to let me in the club or else it's prescription. That's discrimination.
Medication, jerkoid. Prescription's drugs, which are on if you think you're getting up here. 2 ways to kill a werewolf.
Silver bullet?
And?
That's it. Shoot him with a silver bullet.
Nope, sorry, Rudy.
Okay, so what's the other way?
What?
Second way to kill a werewolf.
Car crash? Accident with power tools? Old age? Falling out of a window? Onto a bomb?
Look, it's officially spooky season, and I love spooky season. And what's better time for spooky season than to be able to sit down and watch a spooky movie with your family? But this one's something that's very accessible to everyone in the family. Everyone can look at these kids that have dialogue written by Shane Black spilling out of their mouth and go, wow, that's kind of creepy why they're talking about versions so much. You have Dracula going around killing people, and it is pretty freaky. Somebody actually detonates a werewolf, and he gets himself put back together again. In case you haven't seen it, and you're going to find out, Wolfman has nards. But this movie did not find its audience in the theater. It did not find its audience through advertising. How it found its audience was that it got put on a video shelf, and somebody saw it and they said, let's take that home and watch it. And some little kid screamed and yelled because he wanted to be able to see it, and somebody probably said it'd be okay. And families got to tell the story of how this movie that nobody watched was actually pretty great. And now today it's a cult classic, and that's why it's my second choice. So, you know what, Aaron, I'm gonna go with you first.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
Oh boy. So I like Monster Squad. I think Monster Squad is a fine film, but you said it in your argument, cult classic. It's just not a film that most families watch. And I feel like when you're talking one of the greatest family films of the 80s, although I will say it has built up, it has amassed quite the following. So I would actually take it out of the cult classic category, but I still don't think in terms of greatest family film of the 80s that it would best Back to the Future, because even though I do think Monster Squad is a fun film, I just want to make sure I clarify that. Like both your choices are good. Back to the Future is one of the rare perfect films. I mean, there aren't many perfect films. Several are on this list, which is crazy to me, but it's true. And Back to the Future is one of them. It is a movie. I think the sequels have tons of flaws. Somebody suggested Back to the Future 2 was better, and I can't understand that for the life of me. But to each their own. Back to the Future is a fantastic film that captures so many things. It captures family, it captures science fiction, it captures fantasy in a way. It has some magic. It has a guy going back in time and almost banging his mom, which is weird. But look at Pornhub; it's half of Pornhub now, so it all makes sense in the scheme of things. It's just a great, fun film that everybody wanted to learn how to skateboard. Everybody wanted to hang out with Huey Lewis. And everybody just wanted to be Michael J. Fox. And still to this day, you can watch that with your kids and have a great time. So I don't know how it isn't Back to the Future.
All right, Christy.
I want you to know that I had never heard of Monster Squad until you picked it and put it on the list. And so to do my due diligence, we rented the movie last night and we watched it.
Aww.
Or I bought it. I don't know what I did, but we watched it last night.
You spent money.
and I did enjoy it. But it won't ever be, in my mind, the Back to the Future. That movie's been a family favorite since the first time I watched it when I was a little girl. And to the point, it's so well known as an 80s movie that when talking about 80s movies, my two younger ones are talking about the flying car, and is that ever really going to happen? And it's just left an imprint on so many generations since it's come out. So it's my winner.
All right, Amanda, no one really wants to hear from you now, but go ahead.
Wow, rude. Yeah, this is a clean sweep for me. I'll be honest, I've not seen Monster Squad, and I think that says enough for me. If I didn't watch it...
And you didn't do your due diligence? Like, Christy, you know what?
It doesn't matter. I didn't watch it growing up, and I don't have a family of my own, so how is it supposed to be the best family film if it wasn't part of my childhood, if my family didn't consider it a great family film?
Damn.
Your father's terrible.
Probably my mom, too. Neither of them showed it to me. So it's back. And honestly, Back to the Future is one of the best movies of all time. How do you really top that? You can't.
I mean, you're right. But still, I
Great
have to
Scott.
at least try to fight for it.
I appreciate that.
Great Scott. I caught that. All right. So Back to the Future moves on to the next round. Christy, your two are up.
All right. My first pick is Goonies.
What do you want? Lots of water.
4 waters. Is that all?
No. I want the Villa Scallopini. I want a fettuccine Alfredo. A bottle of fettuccine in 1981.
The only thing we serve is tongue. You boys like tongue? That's all?
A group of kids going on a treasure hunt to save their homes against foreclosure have a run-in with baddies, and it's not only a race to find the treasure, but to stay alive. When I think of the 80s and I think of 80s family films, this is the first movie that comes to mind that I had to go out, rush out, buy it on Blu-ray, make sure that my kids got this experience. It's funny, it's witty, it's endearing. When Amanda was talking about the relationship between E.T. and Elliot, I instantly thought about Sloth and Chunk and that friendship that was totally unexpected, especially at that time with how deformed Sloth was. They really made that come together. There were a lot of inspirational moments, and the one that really hit me the most, and has every time I've watched it, is when they're down under the well by the waterfall, I believe it was, and they're ready to get out of the wishing well, and he's like, "This is our time." And that's just a thing that I want my kids to take away from these movies, that this time in their lives is probably some of the best times they're going to have. And at least that's what I'm trying to do, give them those magical moments. My second pick is Stand By Me.
The train tracks are right there. Me and my dad used to fish for Cossies out there.
Jesus Christ, man. If they would have known you were under there, they would have killed you. Could he have gotten all the way from Chamberlain to Harlow? That's really far.
Sure.
He must have started walking on the train tracks and just followed them the whole way.
Yeah, right. And then after dark, train must have come along and all smacko.
Yeah. Hey, you guys. I bet you anything that if we find him, we'll get our pictures in the paper.
Yeah, we could even be on TV. Sure, we'll be heroes.
Controversial pick, I know, in this list here today. But it's a coming-of-age story of 4 preteens in the 50s on the search for a dead body. All 4 kids come from varied home lives, including but not limited to abuse and growing up in the shadow of an older brother. During their journey, they face insecurities, fears. They make some stupid decisions, like trying to cross a train bridge and then, jumping off right at the last minute before dying. And there's a lot of mixed emotions that were portrayed there on the screen. But what I love most about this movie is that it shows what it's like to grow up as a free-range kid and to have those deep friendships. But most of all, it teaches you the lesson that those deep friendships that you have at that part in your life typically grow apart. And you have to learn to accept that loss and not define yourself by how others perceive you, but about who you perceive yourself to be. All right. So, Amanda.
You had a really good sell for Stand By Me. I'm kind of impressed with the way that you took it. But Goonies is just, I feel like it's the epitome of 80s family flick. And I don't know how I'd pick anything but.
All right, John?
This is actually a really tough one for me because I look at Stand By Me and I look at Goonies and I can't imagine 2 movies any more different but the same at the same time. Mm-hmm. And it's, where one takes everything in a darker, scarier, more grounded point of view and the other one is more whimsical and fun. I really want to go. It's hard for me to choose, but I'm gonna let the whimsical, fun part of me decide that Goonies has to be the one to choose because it's just ultimately more rewatchable. It's ultimately a lot more fun, and as much as there's a lot of great lessons that happen in Stand By Me, the great lesson that happens in Goonies is that we're all family and we can all work together, and I like it for that reason.
And that they never die.
Right.
Right.
All right, Aaron, you told me to try and plead my case.
Well, I wasn't I wasn't worried about it. I was just kind of wondering, like, how are you going to sell the R-rated movie as a family film? Now, I come from a family where that makes sense. But like I said earlier, I mean, Beverly Hills Cop and everything, like, we watch dark shit in our family. But I was afraid, like, I thought most people would have a hard time buying that. I think you spelled it out perfectly. Stand By Me is one of those films people should watch and should watch with their kids at some point. I honestly can't remember if I did, but I can tell you, I think I did. And I know that the movie is great. And it's very similar to Goonies in a lot of ways, because both films are about friendships. Both films are about friendships possibly fading, possibly being ripped apart, and how things change. They just do it in different ways. Stand By Me is much more grounded, much more realistic, and it's about the adventure everybody has of going off and wanting to do something with your friends when you're a kid. It just happens to be a dead body. Where Goonies is a lot more like John said, whimsical and adventuristic and just fun, and meant to be exciting. It's their time up there. It's our time down here. That whole thing is just a magical endeavor. Now I'm going to pick Goonies simply for the fact that I love that movie. I've watched that with my kids. I watch it with my mom, and it to this day, I mean, we just did a Remake This Movie Right episode on Goonies. To this day, it is very much a movie that makes me feel like a kid. And I'm not a kid anymore. It's been a while. But I watch that movie and I feel like a kid. I can watch it with kids and they're giggling at the same stuff that I'm giggling at, and we're all having a good time. So Goonies has to win for me. But I think Stand By Me is a great choice too. All right. So now we have our final 4. So we're going to break it down to our final 2. And remember, our listener poll in our Facebook group decides all ties if there are any. So let's do Ho North first. So the finalists from Ho North were E.T. versus Raiders of the Lost Ark. Whew. Christy, you're a guest. What is your pick between E.T. and Raiders of the Lost Ark to move on to the final round?
Man, this is a tough decision. I'm going to have to go with Raiders of the Lost Ark. All
right. John.
E.T.
Amanda.
E.T.
Ouch.
Does this mean we're going to the Facebook poll?
Yeah, I'm going to have to go. It is very...
What noise was that?
That was my contemplation.
That was him realizing it's not where he wants it to be on the Facebook poll.
No, I haven't looked at the Facebook poll yet. That was I'm contemplating because I do think both are excellent family films. But I'm going to go with Raiders of the Lost Ark. E.T. doesn't have as much rewatchability as Raiders does to me with family. I feel like my family could plop down and watch Raiders today, where E.T. we would have to schedule a time. You know what I mean? So that's me.
I agree with you there. That's exactly kind of why I went with that. I can't tell you. I've watched Raiders of the Lost Ark so many times, and E.T. I've probably watched maybe 3.
It's still a great movie, though. Still a great movie.
It's excellent.
Which one? The one with the guns or the one with the radios? Which one?
I just looked up the poll.
Here we go. I got the poll, and here we go. The winner of the tie is Raiders of the Lost Ark.
By 8.
But it won, and that's what matters. So now we go to Ho South, where we have...
It's not really a losing battle. They're both great.
True, absolutely. And I mean, nobody's a loser here, but there's somebody that was really pulling for E.T. But Raiders goes on to the final round, and now we have Back to the Future versus Goonies. That's hard too, man. So let's go Amanda first.
That is a great toss-up. 2 really great films and great for families, but I'm going to go with Back to the Future. I feel like that's one that I've definitely watched a whole lot more and would be more inclined to show before Goonies, I guess, with family.
This is heavy. All right, John.
This is tough for me because, I was never Marty McFly, but I was definitely one of the Goondocks, so Goonies.
Christy.
All right, hands down, it's Back to the Future.
Huzzah! Oh, wait. Did we get to the last vote?
No, we haven't gotten to the last vote yet.
It could be a toss-up. Okay. All right. Never mind. Wait.
Yeah, because John picked Goonies.
Yeah,
I forgot. It's got to be all 4 of us this time. I count. I matter. My vote matters. I will also say Back to the Future. And
Huzzah!
Jeez.
I'm really glad you guys are picking my movie. It makes me feel special.
Yeah.
Hey, neither one of my movies got picked either, so it's okay.
I just like how John didn't pick his movie.
Seriously.
Yeah, that's fine. I can actually do both. I can actually be glad that my choice is making it, but choose the movie that I like a little bit better.
Okay. Well, now we come to a much more difficult choice. What is going to be the 80s family movie winner of this movie Battle Royale? And the finalists are Back to the Future and Raiders of the Lost Ark. Christy, this was your suggested topic. Well, first, are you happy with the finalists here?
Yes. I think that we landed on two very solid choices.
Okay. So I'm going to let you choose. Do you want to be the first vote or the last vote?
Oh, boy. I'm going to be the first vote because I need to get it out of the way.
Okay. What's your pick?
So I'm going to vote with Back to the Future.
All right. So we got one for Back to the Future. John.
Back to the Future.
We've got two for Back to the Future. Amanda.
Back to the Future.
We've got...
Woo! I won one of these! I won one of these!
She broke
He
up.
left the room.
I didn't hear
He's
her.
gone.
I won one of these! Whoa!
You didn't
It's a
even
good thing
vote
you have
for
wireless
it.
headphones.
You didn't even vote for your own movie. I don't think it counts. All
Illinois
right.
Pete is going to be real disappointed for the rest of the evening.
I did not vote yet, but I will tell you my vote was for Raiders of the Lost Ark. So it is what it is. So, hey, the winner
So
of...
now the show's canceled, and we will never see you again.
He's going to pack up his toys. We're not going to allow him to play in the sandbox anymore.
I hope you guys enjoyed the last movie Battle Royale. I hope that was fun for you, because it's not... I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's just...
Not only
Christy,
did John
this is on
finally
your
win
shoulders.
one,
It is. It's your first time winning, right?
it is my very first time winning at one
I
of
don't
these.
think it is.
Wow.
Is it?
Yes.
Maybe pick better movies. How about that? That was an us problem. Watch cooler stuff. Cut. All right. Well, that is our winner. So the winner of our 80s family movie Battle Royale is Back to the Future, which also won the listener poll. So I guess that fits.
That checks.
Now let's do their top
Tracks.
10.
What's the right thing?
Who cares? Do you want to hear their top 10?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I hope so. It was your category. You should be
I want to talk about the one that didn't make the top 5.
Oh, we're going to when we get there. Just hang on.
Oh, yeah. He is just chomping at the bit for this.
Seriously.
I don't like that movie.
Like, you really don't have to prompt him for it. He is ready to go.
So here's the top 10. Number 10, Big. Number 9, Ferris Bueller's Day Off. Oh, that's a great choice.
Oh, I love Big and Ferris Bueller.
Number 8, E.T. Number 7, The Never-Ending Story, which has the really rapey, dragon. I don't understand that one.
I like children.
Oh, God.
You just ruined it for me. I've never thought about it in that way before.
Oh, really? When he's winking at the kid and he's like, I like children. And then he rubs his nipples. You don't remember that? That was messed up.
No.
She's going to go back and look, and it's going to be ruined.
All 6 of his nipples at one time.
It's a true story. All right, number 6. It's very unfair. Raiders of the Lost Ark. Number 5, The Empire Strikes Back, to which I say doesn't count because it doesn't work on its own. Think about it. Does that movie work if you don't see the first one or the third one? It does not. Number 4, Ghostbusters. Number 3, The Goonies. Number 2 is the one we're probably going to talk about, The Princess Bride.
Oh, boy.
And number 1, Back to the Future. So there we go, Christy. Princess Bride, it's the elephant in the room, or the just okay movie in the room. Oh my God, the fact that I would say that is just inconceivable. Why do you feel like it didn't make our top 8, other than the fact that it's the most okay movie that ever okayed?
True story. I've fallen asleep in the ending every single time. I actually don't know how it ends.
That's amazing.
The never-ending movie.
No, I've watched it with the kids multiple times. I didn't even know about this movie until I think my oldest was, 8 or 9 years old. Had no idea it even existed. And everyone's like, I can't believe you watched it. You have to watch it. So I must have missed the moment, because it has never struck that magical moment, awesome movie of all time feeling for me. I wish I could tell you I know what happens in the end, but every time I wake up and it's right when the credits are rolling. So I really don't know what happens.
Wow.
I feel like that speaks for itself. I like the movie. I think it's still a good movie. It's enjoyable, but is it in the top 10 of the best in the 80s? No.
I'm not saying I don't enjoy it. I enjoy everything I've stayed awake in.
I love the movie. It's just that when I was picking my movies, I knew that Aaron wasn't part of this whole thing, and I actually wanted to win one for once.
Well, you can't cheat the system.
Wow.
Yes, I can.
Wow.
I mean, you did.
I mean,
but you shouldn't.
I think you should know that there's no way I'd ever vote for that one.
I think that's exactly what he's saying.
That's exactly what I just said.
Like, that's why he didn't put it in here, because he knew you wouldn't vote for
Whatever
it.
keeps it out of here. That's all I care about.
But I have to say, if you knew that Aaron wasn't going to vote for it, but you thought it was the best 80s movie of all time, then you could have banked that Amanda and I would have voted for it. And we didn't talk about this ahead of time. So you weren't confident enough in the choice so that none of us actually would have voted for it.
No, because what happened with Raiders of the Lost Ark being voted off the island, then being voted back on the island would have happened to this, where it would have been voted on the island. Then someone would have said, no, you changed my mind, Aaron. You changed my mind. And then it's back off.
You could have done Back to the Future and The Princess Bride, because then you would have secured Back to the Future.
Yeah, but then my motives would have been seen through, and there is some planning put into this.
I don't understand. Isn't it just supposed to be the two best films that you could think of the 80s? That's what it's supposed to be.
I can't do what I like. What I like, people, we just talked about it. Like better stuff, John.
That's true.
Faked liking better stuff.
And he won. Do you see what happens?
Hey, and I won.
When you change him, Aaron, when you change him.
Oh, man. I was this close to putting Clue in there, but I was just afraid that it would just sweep. So
I would have voted for Clue.
Yeah, I definitely would have also.
I would have voted for Clue.
I don't know why it's not in the top 10, honestly. It wasn't.
You kind of failed at this, Aaron. Let's talk about how the fact that you didn't put Clue in this here.
I do feel like it's a failure because I had already committed to the two, and then Clue popped up, and I'm like, I can't go back because I'm always telling them I can't go back after I've already cemented them.
You're one of the biggest advocates for Clue, and yet you failed everyone.
But you know what I did do? After it's all said and done, I just got a good minute solid of us talking about one of the greatest films of the 80s, which was
You
Clue.
cheater with your honorable mentions.
Whatever it takes. It should have won. I should have had it. I actually selected, we picked our movies, and then it was like the day later, I'm like, why is Clue not where Gremlins is? Why? That doesn't make sense to me.
Well, you swapped something out for putting Gremlins in.
He swapped out Empire
but it was
Strikes
on my turn.
Back for Gremlins, but it made sense why he swapped it out, because it's truly not a standalone film. That's what was so good about his pick for Raiders of the Lost Ark, is you could just watch just that, and you might not be satisfied, because, I mean, Indiana Jones is insatiable, but...
Wow.
I just had a crush growing up. Yeah.
I still got it for
had or have?
It sounds like she just had a moment.
Yeah, I think so.
But you could still watch that on its own and it would still make it. Where Empire Strikes Back, you'd be like, I don't know what's going on and I don't know where this is going.
Well, we're going to do an 80s comedies at some point, so that'll definitely come up. Because Clue is just a great family film. Murder.
I love that movie.
Oh my God. I could quote that all day. In fact, I might. Let's just do that. Okay. Well, that's going to do it. And we're going to wrap this episode up. And remember, the next time you head to a theater, buy popcorn. Now, do you prefer, Christy? I don't want to call you anything that you don't prefer.
I don't. I respond.
Do you want
to
Sasquatch?
both.
Do you want Beelzebub?
No.
Anything like?
Nope.
My thing would be, if it's not on the poll, I would argue you lost. That's one I've never heard of. Man, there's a lot of movies I'm surprised would qualify, but there are that people thought of as family films.
Kiki's doesn't qualify. It's animated.
Right. We said non-animated.
Yeah, we did say, but I don't think I've specified that in the post, so technically.
Oh, so it's your fault.
It usually is.
Also, this looks, I mean, still feels very sexual. She has to learn to control her broomstick.
No, it's really good. It's a really good film. We have it.
Okay. That's cool. know.
No, not Chase and I have it. Alicia and I watched it together. If you want to know the categorizations of who we have.
We don't need to know what you do on the weekends.
What's going on with this broomstick? That's all I want to know. So I got to do this opening thing so you guys can just, be quiet. This is where the energy comes in. Welcome to the Hollywood Outside. God damn it, John. I can only do energy like once. Welcome to the Hollywood...
Go, Speed Racer!
Also, Clue is apparently the best 80s family film, and I'm too stupid to remember to put it on my list.
True that.
Son of a bitch. I feel so stupid.
Wait, are you trying to win posthumously now?
Yeah, I think I want to take it back from you, is what I want. I want to make sure that John can't
No,
win.
I already ran around the house. I already shouted how great it was that I won one. Because if you had Clue, you'd probably win.
God damn it! I'm going to go home
I think
and
you
sleep
would have
with
won,
my
Aaron.
wife. Yeah.